with Deputy DeBrugero. Then there was the equity in action, the Equitable Student Outcomes Entry Plan that I presented last October. Then we completed the LPS strategic plan is really linked to that, so I put that underneath there. We have the academics, MTSS, and tier resources. We're currently in the process of completing the MTSS resource list for attendance, as well as social emotional learning, and then creating a chart and a graphic really for all of our educators to be able to see where the intersecting right categories are and what is what should be used and when. How do we scaffold? When do we move back from that? And so I think it'll be a great resource. Where also the academics team is putting together a handbook at this time that elaborates on the process of multi-tiered systems of support. Following that, there was a extensive review by the curriculum team of the program of studies that is also linked there, and that continues to evolve as we look at our offerings and for academics, so that will continue to be updated and brought to share with school committee members for your information and update. And then there's, of course, our Student Opportunity Act plan, including the last revisions that were submitted in May. As you recall, we also conducted a circuit breaker audit, which now Dr. Colella continues to monitor and adjust the operation of the SPED department, and Mr. Kevin McHugh in collaboration with her to ensure that we are following through for all of the reimbursements, whether they're out of district or in district. I'm sharing next the timeline of conversion process. Mr. McHugh and the budgeting team had started the budgeting method to AlloView and the conversion process, and so I just wanted to share. They started that in July. And here's the timeline in which we anticipate we will be going live by December 1st. So that will facilitate a transparent budgeting process and allow us to not only make some decisions that really support and align with what our principals need, it will create a system where we're budgeting by school needs, as well as a formula for each of the programmatic needs that exist within student groups. The second goal was maintaining momentum during the transition for district improvement, and what that meant was really keeping the district moving forward during this year's transition in leadership by working with principals and other district leaders to ensure that meaningful progress is made on critical district and school goals. There were several categories to this. One was operational efficiency, looking at systems and structures to, in some cases, develop them, in some cases, review them and refine them, and in some cases, operationalize them, depending on the state of where they were. The other was really looking at teacher and staff development and continuing to, and so moving away from just vendor professional development of resources to evolving in a process to really look at pedagogy and the delivery. How are teachers teaching? What do they need to do the how am I teaching versus what am I teaching? We trust our teachers as professionals, and we know that the resources that they have is the vehicle to teach the standard. And so really, what do they need as far as staff development is concerned? And we'll continue to do that throughout this year as well. The social emotional learning and diversity, equity, and inclusion portions of this are really working in collaboration with the SEL team, all of the clinicians, establishing a data protocol to collect data so that we can make better decisions about placements and the ratios that actually exist of student contact versus hours of contact. Because one of the things that we found was that we can't set schedules necessarily, right? With we have caseloads, but it's difficult to set schedules when we're not certain if a clinician can stick to that exact schedule on any given day because a student may be in crisis or in need of additional hours of support. So we're looking at it both ways to see what it is that the clinicians are in need of to be not only supported, but what is the accurate record keeping for that, which we were struggling with a year ago. The DEI portion of this is really about continuing to expand the equity goals that we've set as a district. And we learn something every day, right? They're not only goals, but we have a plan for the entire, month by month of the targets that we need to hit, and ensure that we're supporting our students, that we're supporting teachers and staff in a number of ways. And we're currently working with Dr. Darnisa Monte Jackson and Dr. Lee Title, who are both equity strategists. And so they really are going to help us continue to build out the plan and do training for the executive leadership team. The next phase will be for principals. And then the next phase will be for cohorts of teachers. We have parent and community engagement, which is really focused around a number of things. So increasing the number of translation resources, which significantly, the need for that was significant from one year to the next. And as well as ensuring that all of our legal documents were translated, right, by translators and not just bilingual staff, which legal documents must be done by translators. In the parent and community engagement piece as well is supporting our principals, right, to
Good evening, everyone. We would like to begin our open mic. The open mic session is designed to provide an opportunity for citizens to express their views on matters of concern to the school committee. The sessions are not designed to encourage debate or lengthy exchange of views, but are to have the committee understand numerous points of view. The committee would appreciate speakers keeping their presentation to 3 minutes in order to accommodate as many people as time permits. The chair reserves the right to limit the number of speakers on the same topic to 3. All speakers must be at least 18 years of age or enrolled in high school in the Lynn Public Schools District and having discussed their views with a student government representative. The chair reserves the right to rule the speaker out of order if they feel that the speaker's comments are personal in nature. If a speaker's comments are directed at a school committee member or a member of school administration in attendance, that member, through the chair, may address the individual. We may begin. Do we have anyone signed up? Okay. Anyone wishing to speak at open mic? Anyone for open mic? Last call for open mic. And we will close the open mic session and move into the 15th regular meeting of the school committee. Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Present.
Member Dugan?
Present.
Member Gately?
Present.
Member Pena?
Present.
Member Reed? Absent. Member Sadowite? Absent. Mayor Nicholson?
Present. For those who are able, if you please rise for a salute to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone could please remain standing for a moment of silence in memory of Helena Sano Haley, retired paraprofessional, passed September 30th, 2024. Thank you. All right, next item is the minutes.
I make a motion to accept the 14th minutes for the 14th regular meeting on September 26, 2024.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next item is a human resources update.
Good evening, everyone. If April Reed and Deb Morrell could join us, they're going to do the presentation this evening.
Thank you.
I love this. Very professional.
I'm going to get out of your way. How's that?
Yep. Oh, I love this. My big screen.
Use your loudest voice.
Good evening.
Louder.
Evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're going to go over some human resource updates and some procedures we've been trying to improve over the course of the year.
You need to be closer.
Maybe. Okay, so today we're going to focus on strategic priority number 2, and that is ensuring LPS educators are diverse, highly qualified, and provided with the resources and supports they need to serve the LPS students. So we're going to look through initiatives 2A through 2D. Some of the things that we have done to improve the human resources onboarding process is that once we hire a new hire, we reach out with a personalized email to kind of have them get that connection with Lynn Public Schools. As they're going through their checklist, we kind of do a halfway mark check-in to see if they need any assistance, any help with anything. Another process that we're just starting to implement is a new hire onboarding survey. We did some last year, but this year we sent one in September, and then the goal is a 60-day and a 90-day mark to see how things are going and what we can improve for them. Also, at the new hire orientation, we provided new hire booklets. You have a copy of that. The idea is that it's very overwhelming at the orientation, so we give them a booklet, who they can contact for platforms, HR, payroll, anything that they need in there, and as well as benefits and payroll information. Some of the other improvements is district-wide forms, leave of absence, sick bank, sick day, and resignation. So the goal of it is that a lot of times we don't hear about maybe someone's out on a leave or they've resigned. And so to streamline it, make it an easy process, we have the forms everyone can use. They send it to HR, and then it gets approved from there. We're continuing with our HR newsletter, just so that we can provide updates on anything with the district and resources that they can look into. On recruitment, currently we travel and participate up to 20 career fairs, and so we're continuing with that. We're always looking for new fairs to attend to kind of broaden our recruitment. We're maintaining our memberships with the Massachusetts Partnership for Diversity in Education. Our goal now is to really expand that and look into historically Black colleges and universities, the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities as well. We're still advertising on our platforms that we use. We did expand this past school year with the El Mundo Boston Latino Career Expo and digital bulletin boards. And you'll see a snapshot on the screen of just an example of what was posted on a digital bulletin board. There was like I-93 to Boston, from Boston, and on Route 1 to attract some talent. For retention and growing our own, the goal is to promote wellness for staff and a positive work environment. We want them to have a sense of belonging within the schools. We're also going to update our recruitment materials just to highlight like our affinity group, the DEI work that's happening, so that we can continue to attract new hires. In regards to growing our own, we provide differentiated programs for new hires in special education, dual language, MLE. We really want to connect with our student teachers with meet and greets, check-ins, because we really want to, the college interns that we do get, we want to be able to hire more of them. We want them to feel a connection to Lynn. And on here is a quick a chart of diverse teachers within the district. In school year 18-19, we were at 7.29%. Within the last 3 years, we've increased to the current year. So school year 24-25 is as of September 26th. That's when we got the figures for this. So we're at 10.86% at this point. Administrators, we've definitely increased the diverse number of administrators as well. As of September 26 as well, we're at 20.28%. And then we have our paraprofessionals. This has pretty much been even. 24-25 is a little bit lower, but that's also because those numbers fluctuate throughout the year based on the needs of the students if we need to hire more paraprofessionals.
I'm going to jump in. So our strategic initiative is around highly qualified, and we're talking about licensure. So this is a pie chart of licensure as of last week. So the good news is the majority of our educators are qualified in that they have a professional or initial license, which means they already have gone through a college or university program to be a teacher. So as you can see, we have quite a few emergency licenses and waivered teachers. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we're doing for those teachers right now. So as you know, due to COVID, they came out with the emergency license. They're no longer giving out emergency licenses, but you could get up to 2 extensions on an emergency license. And the only qualification for that was a bachelor's degree to start. After the first round of them, they did start requiring competency work for special ed and ESL. So we work a lot with our teachers on those internships. So you can see on the chart, we've done dozens of competency portfolios for the DESE for our ESL and special ed teachers. ESL mostly is adding a license, so they're doing the internship for that. The waivered teachers are actually, they have the same qualifications as an emergency licensed teacher, but perhaps they missed the deadline to apply or they weren't working on being a teacher at that time. So we have the same exact supports for the waivered teachers as well. And in addition to the internships, we do MTEL prep for many of the most, popular MTELs, the most common MTELs, and vouchers as well, and various other induction supports. There's another slide. Okay. Well, while she's working on that, do you have the presentation or no?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. So since 2019, we've been recipients of the Teacher Diversification Pilot Program grant through the DESE, and we're looking forward to that coming out again, probably later this month. Our main focus for my department was around paras with bachelor's degrees who were diverse and supporting the work of those paras becoming teachers. And so we've been working on that over the past 5 years. And over the last few years, we've partnered with MLE and now last year Innovation to really grow this to look at pathways from the high school into the teaching profession. So it's pretty exciting work. And we're going to continue that this year. And then moving on from there, another support for our emergency and waiver teachers. And, it's very important that we get everybody to be fully licensed because it's important for our kids, but also it's the last extension for most of a lot of our emergency license holders. So the DESE made Salem State the recipient of their Metro North Regional Center for Educator Licensure Support. So all of our teachers that hold these emergencies licenses or are waivered, they have voucher support, reimbursement for childcare, transportation, other expenses they might have due to having to take an MTEL. So that's another support that they can all access, and they are all communicated with on a pretty routine basis to access those supports.
And so our last slide is next steps, and it is the path of recruitment and retention. So we start with defining the Lynn Public School needs, write our job descriptions that align with our priorities, plan our recruitment sourcing strategy, review applications and screen candidates, and then we move on to our interviews and evaluating the top candidates, make our job offer, we onboard through HR and within the district, and now we have our new hires starting their careers with Lynn Public Schools. That's it. Any questions?
Member Pena.
Thank you for the presentation. It was pretty neatly put together. I appreciate it. I can appreciate also the exit survey to find out, you know, we hear it all the time, teachers are leaving, we want to know why, and what can we do better. With well, we were just, with the paras with the bachelors that are, you know, you're moving along to become teachers, what's the numbers on that? Do you have a number on how many are enrolled, or?
Do we have that?
So we've had like a group, we tracked the group over the years. Over the years, we've had like over 100 paras take MTELS prep supports and receive vouchers as well over the years. But we have a lot more, we have more paras taking the coursework, like that already have bachelors, than we have in the classroom right now. So it's definitely an area where we're still working, but we're often elevating paras to a teacher position since they already love our kids.
Yeah,
It's
and
a
they're
good
in the
fit.
classrooms working with them already.
And obviously, you're partnering up with Bobby Bishop and his team there
Yes.
to
Yep.
to get some equity across the board. I had a question. Is there a system where we can, let's say if someone applies, right? And is there a system where they could probably get like an application number or something that they applied? Because one thing that I get a lot, and it's something that's, you know, throughout the years you hear that people apply and never get called back. And I've met, you know, over the years, I've met many educators that applied, they say they applied, I mean, I don't know. They say that they applied, and they never got called back, and then they get called from Revere, surrounding cities, and we lose them. Is there a system where, or maybe there's something we can think of, if someone applies, they get a number, and they can refer to that, and we can review and come back, that way, you know, there's more transparency around it.
Yeah, so with Talent Ed, which is what we started using maybe 4 years ago, the candidates have to apply and create their own account. And with that, they're applying within Talent Ed, and there's a posting number, and they have the update in there. And so they may be called, or if they're not called, they do get updates as that job is posted. So if someone is hired, so when they apply, it's like, thank you for applying, we're reviewing your application. And if they are called in, there's like, oh, thank you, like, we're gonna pull you in for an interview. But if they don't, there always is like that closure of, we're not gonna be able to move forward with your application. So it's all automatic, and it does happen. Within that, it gets sent to their email address that they do create their profile within Talent Ed.
Member Castellanos.
Thank you guys for the presentation. So I have a question around the retention, the onboard and exit surveys. What have been some of the issues or the trends that you guys are seeing with some of the exit interviews?
Some of them, so we encourage them to fill them out all the time, but we don't always get all of the responses from the people who resign. A lot of it is just when they're onboarded and going into a school, they may not feel like they're a part of the team, like culturally, because you know it's busy at the beginning of the school year. It's very hectic. So I've seen some of that. Some wish they had a little bit more support than what they've already received. But overall, it hasn't been too many negatives. A lot of it is like, you know, they've had a better opportunity, or, you know, they're able to go to a different field that better suits their, you know, their family and home.
I see that, you know, some of the, you know, also the retention points, like what you guys are doing, your strategies that you're putting forward. Are they effective? Do you feel like
They are effective, but I always feel like we can do more because, you know, what we're doing is effective, but I feel like there's so much more that we could do to kind of get the interest in Lynn and have people like, you know, want to come here and work for us. So it's fluid, everything, it's always going to changing, ideas come up all the time. I mean, you know, the new hire booklet, you know, we were like, how can we help them not feel so like, you know, orientation is one day and it's like all this information. So we're going to give them this booklet. So we're constantly trying to think of ideas just to make it better, you know, retain and help them, the ones that don't have their licensure, get their licensure.
One of the areas that we've talked about, so new employees get a mentor if they've not been through the mentor program already, because if there's an educator that was working in another district, they may have already gone through the mentor induction process. But one of the things that we have identified is a gap between the support they get through HR and the mentorship program and the support they get at the school level. And our principals do a very nice job trying to make sure that people feel, you know, they're part of the team, part of the school, but a staff member can easily get lost in all the stuff that they have to know and do. And so we've talked about having like deliberate checkpoints, intentional checkpoints where principals meet with their new staff to check in. How are things going? You know, do you need additional support? What can we do to help make your transition smoother for you? Because I do think it gets hard as the year starts and starts moving forward. There has to be intentional times that we're checking in with our new people. So that's something we have talked about.
And also, we have double the amount of hires than we did back when I started in this position in 2019. So we're like looking at over 200 people in induction, and before it was almost just about 100.
In 2019, we were probably hiring about like almost 200 people, and every year it increases, because when I worked in the payroll department, like that's what, like, you know, we would, after HR, it would go to payroll, and that's what we, you know, we finished the hiring in that aspect, and we're up to like over 400. So it's a lot. So
I just, because I did have a couple folks who did end up leaving the district that I talked to, and it was conditions. You know, they were talking about, I guess, not being prepared for urban district. It's an urban school experience, right? If you have different experiences in different districts, I feel like the mentor piece is really important, right? But you could get lost. So I feel like that's something that's on each school, as you said, right? So what's going to be the system processes updated to make sure that doesn't happen, so we can catch those? I guess it's a big overhaul, obviously. But
yeah,
what do we...
I mean, it's going to take time to put that together. I mean, we have 28 schools, so I mean that's something we want to work on, and it's just a matter of, you know, what's the best way that we can make all 1,500 teachers, like, you know, even the existing teachers feel like that sense of belonging, and that, you know, they want to stay in Lynn.
I have another question around the advertisement. I didn't see the cost breakdown for like, I don't know how much. I know I don't know. I know social media has been very active. Actually, I'm very impressed with the way that we're rolling out some of the postings on social media. Did we get like good results from those efforts?
With the digital boards, that cost was $10,000 out of the human resources budget. The hits we got were close to like 1 million. So the advertising company that I used, they did give me like a follow-up, like this is how many hits, like people were able to see it on each one. So that was successful, and people did see it. We do have on the application, like, how did you hear about this job?
Oh, great.
And so we are reviewing that, but you know, it's not a requirement, but we've made it a requirement now so that we can get a better idea. And a lot of it's like, you know, maybe like social media, maybe they saw it on LinkedIn, that type of thing. So we're tracking that now. But we did get a lot of hits of people like seeing it, and they were able to provide us with that information.
Okay. And I know we had a pipeline. Didn't we have a recruitment pipeline from the high schools? We're looking to build
that's
that
still
path.
currently,
That's
and
part of the teacher diversification pilot.
yes,
program.
and so in the recruitment plan under intra-departmental efforts, it's kind of like what MLE and DEI, like we're all working together in the recruitment plan. We're still doing that.
And how the numbers look? Are we?
As of last year, I know that working with MLE, Amanda Campbell, it was going very well. We haven't been able to connect for this year.
75 high schoolers across our high schools that were part of the, you know, future teacher club and those efforts. We continue to try and recruit as many as we can. They all get an opportunity to go to a school, be part of a classroom, you know, so that they actually experience what it's like to be in a classroom. And of course, the LVTI program, their internship is in Lynn Public Schools.
Student.
Yeah.
Who's the teacher now?
Yeah.
Marshall?
Yep.
Thanks.
Member Daley.
indicate the positive is I really like your new hire orientation booklet. I think it will be very useful to people coming in, and all of the list of names and extensions so that they can call and find out what they need to do to get their pay, get certified. I'm glad you explained about people not getting called back, because that's important to know that if they don't fill it out correctly to begin. I love the idea that you're getting the exit interviews, but what was the number one reason people are leaving?
I wouldn't say there was like one that stood out more than the other, but a lot of it is people were leaving to go to maybe a different job entirely, or another district, or, you know, more opportunity.
So it really wasn't that they weren't getting what they needed here in Lynn. It was more like,
Yeah, they could go.
this may not be for them. Teaching may not be for them.
Yeah,
the
some
way
of it
is
was that.
now. Then the checkpoints, as Mrs. Ruggiero was speaking about, Deputy Ruggiero, have you looked into possibilities of long-term subs, teachers that are coming into a position that didn't have the opportunity to be trained, like the teachers that got hired in June? They were trained during the summer and they know what their job is. So how are we going to work with those people coming in as teachers, novice, like coming into our district, and how do you have something for them?
So
to
this year
follow?
we started rolling induction. So we did notice last year that we had so many teachers start after the beginning of the school year and after October even. So, and none of them got mentors or any of the induction program, professional development. So this year, as they come in, they're going to be put right into induction, hooked up with a mentor at their school, and it includes all the long-term subs too that we have right now. I'm not talking about someone who would be in the classroom for 25 days. I'm, somebody covering a maternity leave or something like
Yes.
that. They're also all rolled into the induction program. They'll have a mentor, and we're starting, and to make up the time they've missed, September, October, let's say they start in November, we're having our induction coordinators, and me as well, I'll be there, doing a mandatory district meeting where we're going to talk about some of the concepts they missed in the beginning, like classroom management, routines and things, something we'd cover in September with the mentees.
So they're able to catch up.
Yeah.
So
As best we can. I mean, we're not a college program, 4 years focused on
I
education, but,
understand
we
that,
try to
but
give
what I'm thinking is like they'll transition. And once they made that transition, they'll possibly come back in the future in a position
yeah, that's the
similar
hope.
to that of their long-term sub, because there's so many jobs that we have to fill.
Yeah, and they do come in, like we fill out the waivers, they have to apply for licensure with DESE, but they get the same supports, if that's what they're pursuing, like they'll get the same supports as we offer currently for the new hires that start in September as well.
Thank you. Thank you both very much.
Thank you both for the presentation. I'll just say that the update's helpful. I also think it's worth taking a moment to pause on some of the numbers around the teacher diversity and the administrative diversity. That has been an explicit goal of ours for some time for the district, and there's a lot going on in retention and recruitment, and we get that, but these numbers represent really meaningful progress for us as a community, and a priority that we've all had. And I just wanted to thank everybody, including particularly those folks that have stepped up into this profession to educate our students, but everybody that's in playing a supportive role, because it is a goal, and we know that it's going to benefit our students. And I know that we are all particularly excited about the Grow Your Own pipeline and making sure that we support our students and to get them into these roles, and how powerful that is for our district. And so we're just thrilled to get that update as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I had one more question. Do you work directly with the superintendent and deputies, are you working with them?
Yes, yes.
And how often do you guys?
We just had an hour meeting today, for example.
No, and it was just referring, women,
Yeah,
strong women, women of color, and educators, with your experience, you might have a little, on helping with strategizing and recruiting. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is, thank you so much. The next is the K-2 report card update.
And for the update, we have part of the curriculum team. Patty Hebert, Chief Academic Officer, and Kelsey Bartlett.
I agree.
Good evening. My name is Kelsey Bartlett. I recently took over as the Assistant Director of Early Childhood for the Curriculum Department. And this summer, I gathered a team to revise the standards-based K-2 report cards. So it was really fun. I got to bring together some teachers. I got to work with assistant directors. And basically what our goal was to use a developmentally appropriate lens when revising the report cards. We discussed using asset-based language, revising the rating scale, and appropriately graying out the skills and standards that are not addressed during each trimester. So basically, as you can see on this slide, the old rating scale, not that it was bad, but I think that there's always room for improvement, like HR was saying, and I agree with them. So what we tried to do is give a description that parents can understand, but also that is simplistic enough that we had some extra words at certain times that we didn't need. And we wanted to adjust this rating scale to be more asset-based, and also to provide more feedback on student progress. Because as you know, we do a lot of work in our classrooms. There's so much that we do together to educate our students, and I think it's important that we're effectively informing families in order to, continue that family engagement and that bridge that we build to work together. So when we adjusted the rating scale, we changed it. We put mastery, progressing, developing, and beginning. And we use those words also in the content areas, because I think at times it can be difficult to be going back and forth between two. You're like looking at the rating scale and then you're looking at the grade, and there's a lot of back and forth. So the team, that was actually the team's idea. That wasn't me. But I thought it was a great idea because it simplified the process of reading the report card. And it also aligns with developmental stages. Developing is a lot nicer than needs improvement, and they both do send a very similar message, but I think it does just have that asset-based lens that honors the development of our youngest students. We also tried to have clarity of that progression, like I mentioned, with that updated rating scale. So this was a big thing that I'm really excited about, less letters, which adds to the ease of a parent reading this document. In the past, before, we had NT for standards that were not assessed at this time, and what we chose to switch to was just a grayed out box. So it's one less, up and down look that you have to make when you're trying to read that document. And once you understand what that means, it helps you as the parent to understand it. So together, like I said, we thought it would provide, just a more aesthetically pleasing document. We can focus on the standards that we assess, because we work on a lot in those classrooms and the teachers work really hard. So we wanted to honor that work that everyone is doing. And the consistent design at each trimester allows a consistent and aesthetically pleasing design. And it also signals that the standard will be addressed in a future term, which I think is really helpful for everyone, teachers, administrators, and parents, to all be on the same page about the learning progression as we teach the standards throughout the school year. As you know, there are certain standards that are addressed at certain times, developing through the child's education. We also used I can statements. So These are standard-based already, but we wanted to add the I can statements because we thought that that was child-friendly, and it helps parents and teachers to have conversations with students about their learning goals. It also helps students take ownership of their own learning. These statements break down the standards or objectives into clear and actionable steps, which makes it easier for both students and teachers to focus on the specific skills that they're working on. So in some cases, we did break down some of the standards for line items on the grading to help be more specific and targeted in our grading. Like, for example, previously, capitalization, punctuation, and grammar was one line item, which can be difficult to grade in one space because those are 3 different skills. And, it would be a shame to grade a child that they didn't have it, when they had 2 out of 3 or, whatever might occur with that child. And also something that's really fantastic about these is that they promote a growth mindset. So those I can statements, just like we use them in our classrooms where we post our agendas and we set, like the tone for the learning, it connects directly back to that work that we're doing in our classrooms. So some of the standards on the report card have been revised to reflect the updates that have been made in the curriculum mapping. That's part of the reason we felt that there was a need to do this project. And these changes ensure that the report cards are aligned with the most current instructional goals and they reflect what's being taught in the classroom. And then right there, you just see there's links to the report. I think you guys have them in front of you. This is just the Word document that I created just so that, everyone could be informed and see these, but I'm working with Matt Cronin and Emily Meacham to, if it all goes, to get them into Power Schools, if that all works out. But I did just want to say that our expected outcomes are that students will have a clearer understanding of their academic successes and learning goals. Parents will benefit from the implementation of asset-based language, the updated rating scale with parent-friendly language, and the aesthetically pleasing document. And teachers will benefit from an aligned document that more accurately communicates the skills and standards that are being taught at each grade level as they develop across the trimesters.
Questions?
Do you have any questions?
Member Cassiano.
No, I like the language. I like that. It's. I really appreciate the work that was put into this. Very thoughtful, really robust. So this is going to be voted in today. Are we implementing this?
If you all voted in, it will be used this year.
Okay, that's why I just wanted timeline wise. So we're talking like the next.
There'll be plenty of time to get it all put
And
into
families
policy.
too. Like, how are we educating the families like to interpret, and like are our staff going to be providing some, family engagement around what this is going to look like, the change?
Yeah, so the curriculum department intends to use a guidance document to help parents, teachers, and administrators, for everyone to be on the same page about all that.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's a great question. Thank you.
All sorts of questions.
Any other questions?
See, you got questions.
Member Gately.
So I just want to be clear that there was a group of teachers that sat down with you and agreed upon
Yes.
this whole.
Yeah, so I gathered a team of K-2 educators. We worked together, and then content area assistant directors also we all worked together. So basically, I met with the teachers. We worked through the standards. We worked through the curriculum mapping documents and the way that would all align. And then assistant directors put their eyes on it, just to give it another look in all the standards and where everything falls and when we teach it based on all of our high quality materials.
And feedback from principals as well.
Yeah.
There were a couple
Oh
of
yes,
principals.
yes. Sorry, but yes.
So all the stakeholders were, I think it sounds very well written. I think that it would probably work very well for the K-2. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I really like the I can, because it's a very important skill for students to understand that they are able to do this.
Me too. Yeah. Thank you.
Member Pena.
Do you have a sample for the L's, like a bilingual report? Is there a report card, like for English learners, in Spanish? Let's say for parents who, bilingual parents. Is there it's like for Spanish or different language?
Yes, so all of our report cards will be translated in the 5 top languages, and parents who need it in another language will get the same report card, but that's translated in their language.
You don't have a sample? I just want.
But we can share one, we can download the different languages and share that.
Yeah, we have past versions translated already, but this one hasn't been approved yet. So if and when that takes place, we would have it translated.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What is the will of the committee?
So motion to approve
to
the
accept.
K-2 report card provisions.
Second.
Second. Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena?
Yes.
Member Reed? Absent. Member Satterwhite? Absent. Mayor Nicholson?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the asset-based language is a good reminder for all of us, right? In terms of-
Yes, absolutely.
I like
Thank
that.
you, guys.
Thanks.
Good job.
All right, next item is a request to accept donation of 11 ukuleles and accessories from the Genesis Foundation for Music Education Accessibility for use at the Washington STEM Elementary.
And the recommendation is to accept the donation of the 11 ukuleles from the Janzi Foundation for Music Education Accessibility for the use of Washington STEM Elementary.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next, we have a field trip request for Aborn to go to outdoor classroom in Freedom, New Hampshire, November 12th to 15th.
And the recommendation is to approve the field trip request for Aborn Elementary students to attend the outdoor classroom in Freedom, New Hampshire from November 12th to the 15th.
Is the will, question?
Yes, I think we have Jenny Hennessy and
Oh, great.
the principal
Please
here
come on up. Yeah.
from Avon.
And Sandy's here too.
And come on up, Sandy.
Hello.
So I just would like you to, we haven't done this program in a long time, and I know that you reached out to me, and I'd like you to explain to the committee the importance of this program, because I already understand it.
So before COVID, I went for 22 years with Aborn. I went as a child many moons ago with Aborn. It's just an experience that is going to be a once in a lifetime for a lot of our inner city kids. We are outside all day from 8 a.m. till like 9 o'clock at night. They can do so many more hands-on experiments, and just being in there, like we're talking about the environment and how to conserve things. And from breakfast to dinner, they're talking to them about how did this food get on your table, or like from growing it to the truckers that bring it. And they just learn so much in a hands-on way. Being able to go on the hikes in the woods, the wildlife they see, they can bring it back to the classroom. Obviously, we're going to talk about a lot of those topics in fifth grade science, but the materials and the hands-on is more than we can do in the classroom. So,
And I really want to commend you for bringing it back, bringing it forward, and I'm sure that
forward
there's a
to
lot
it.
of other elementary schools right now going, I wish I got this done.
yeah, I'm
And-
hoping that, they see us going. We used to have 4 or 5 schools that went with us, so it would be great to have other schools on board from now on.
So if you're from another elementary school and you're
come on
listening,
down. It's great.
next year would be a good time to start, because it is a very good program. And I want to add that I believe the science scores at Avon are like the top, 5th grade, and it has continued for, I don't know how many years, 20? How many years have you been there?
I've only been in 5th grade for about 6 now, but yeah.
Before that, it was Rick Held, so,
Yep.
in this program. So I just want to thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything to say?
Somebody like to make a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion, so now I'm going to make the motion. Motion to accept the request for Avon Elementary to the outdoor classroom in Freedom, New Hampshire from November 12th to the 15th in 2024. Thank you.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes,
Member Pena?
Yes.
Member Reed? Absent. Member Satterwhite? Absent. Mayor Nicholson?
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Enjoy.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congrats. Next item is a resolution regarding charter school expansion. We have a resolution here in your packet. I will read that for the record, and then we can discuss whether we want to adopt it, if that sounds okay with everybody. Whereas the Lynn School Committee believes that a fully funded and supported public school system open to all school-aged children is essential to the educational well-being of students, professional well-being of educators, and the future of the city of Lynn. Whereas funding required to establish and or expand charter schools in Lynn would be detrimentally impacting Lynn students, educators, and school district as a whole, given the great cost to educate the 16 plus 17,000 in our 28 public schools, especially in light of the cost to educate our special needs and English language learner populations and maintain a vocational school. Whereas Kip Lynn's new request to expand to a maximum of 3,200 seats would result in an additional drain of approximately $24 million from the Lynn Public Schools, reaching a total of more than $51 million in charter tuition payments from the Lynn Public Schools to Kip Lynn once the desired expansion is fully phased in. And whereas the availability of additional charter expansion seats in Lynn due to learning loss from the pandemic has the effect of severely penalizing at exactly the moment it is beginning to establish momentum to reverse learning loss, whereas Lynn Public Schools has the second highest number of newcomers in the Commonwealth, close to Boston's numbers, 643 in Boston compared to 602 in Lynn, though Boston is triple Lynn's size. And most newcomers who arrive at all times of year and span all ages could not be served by charter with limited application windows and age restrictions, whereas Lynn has a substantial population of English language learners and students with special needs who may be underserved in a charter school setting, whereas the teachers and paraprofessionals of Lynn must meet certain standards for certification and licensure not required by charter schools, whereas the teachers and paraprofessionals of Lynn enjoy collective bargaining rights and benefits which aim to ensure fair treatment that sorely would be missed in a charter school setting. Therefore, be it resolved, the Lynn School Committee opposes the establishment or expansion of charter schools in the city of Lynn and respectfully urges the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education to consider the resolution herein upon review of applications for charter school establishment or expansion in Lynn. We discussed last spring the implications of the release of the MCAS district rankings, which I might remind folks are much narrower in scope than the accountability conversation that we had in our last meeting when we talked about a lot of the progress that Lynn is making. These rankings are based on a much narrower view of performance, and we have been working together as soon as we got indications that this was unfolding, and I'd like to thank our partners with the teachers union, the entire LPS team and administration, and all the folks, the Lynn School Committee, everyone that's reached out. I think it would be a great step for the Lynn School Committee to go on record this evening. There will be obviously a lot more conversation unfolding about this. I think there's a lot of unfortunate aspects of the way this plays out, and one of the really meaningful ones for me is the unfortunate way it pits members of our community against one another. And I know we all find that really troubling. And I think I certainly want to communicate that we respect all our students and families in the entire city, regardless of where they're sending their students. And we can and should take the policy positions we believe are in the best interests of everyone, and at the same time can value everyone as an individual and their individual choices. And I think as public officials that's an important part of our role. And so while sort of starting from that premise that we value everybody individually, and I think it's also really our role to point out the harm that this would do to the district as a whole. And so I hope that you all join me in sending that message tonight. Member Dugan.
Yeah. Full support of this. I think another part to remember is that what happened in 2016 with the No on 2 movement, that charter school expansion got voted down resoundingly in Massachusetts, and I think the numbers in Lynn were like 62% to 38 or something along those lines. So, I think that's important to remember as well. That it's not a popular decision to expand our charter schools. So,
And as elected officials, we do need to consider that. So I'm full support of this.
It's a great point. Thank you. Member Pena and Member Gailey.
I'm full support of this, and just to echo, Member Dugan, it'll just detrimental to Lynn Public Schools, especially when we have momentum and turning things around right now. It's not gonna, good for us. As a public official, I stand behind this.
Member Gailey.
I am in full support of this, and it really aggravates me, as it does, I'm sure, every person in Lynn Public Schools, that at a time of need, our greatest need, where we are turning ourselves around, where we have a new superintendent that has a new vision, that is moving us forward, has brought us up where we had so many schools and warning, and to bring those 3 back and then have, 9 schools that were just below it, to make that kind of growth and then turn around, and we're taking the most newcomers. We have a highest number of special needs. And to turn around and say, let's take this money and put it onto a charter school and take away from the people that we are serving in Lynn Public Schools is so wrong, and it irritates me so much, and I'm sure everybody gets aggravated with it. And so I'm behind this 100%. And once they start following the same rules we have to follow as educators, and follow the same rules we have to follow to build our new buildings and all the other things that are not the same, then this is ridiculous to even come forth to ask for it.
Member Castellanos.
Yeah, I'll be remiss to not echo and feel the same about what's happening. It's injustice. It's really disturbing, when you really peel back the impact of what this looks like. I'd like to just make a motion to approve this resolution to support the resolution that you just put forward, Mayor.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I just want to also, there's ways for folks to get involved. I really encourage the city and everyone to mobilize in the city to push forward, get involved in what's happening. I know the Lynn Teachers Union is putting a lot of material out there. I know we're putting a lot of material out there. So I think you get involved and really let your voice be heard about this injustice that is being put forward.
It's a great point, Member Castellanos. And let me add that if anyone has any questions about what's going on, there's going to be a lot of conversation about this, and I would encourage folks to reach out to the LPS administration. Absolutely feel free to reach out to me in my office to sort of clarify some of the issues here, or if you need information. I believe that our colleagues in government on the city council will be taking up a resolution at their next meeting on Tuesday, and I would like to thank the council, those councilors that I have spoken with on that, and I also want to thank the state delegation, Senator Crichton, Representatives Cahill, Capano, Armini have all been strong supporters and helping us respond in this issue. So. With that, roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena?
Yes.
Member Reed? Absent. Member Satterwhite? Absent. Mayor Nicholson?
Yes. Next item we have is a resolution calling for passage of question 2 to replace the MCAS graduation requirement. I will read that into the record and then we can open it up. Whereas access to a high-quality, publicly funded education is a guaranteed right written into the Massachusetts Constitution, whereas the goal of public education is to teach students essential foundational skills such as reading, writing, and arithmetic, and to develop critical thinkers, engaged citizens, and lifelong learners, and whereas the bedrock of the Commonwealth's world-class public education system is strong statewide standards that are uniform throughout our public schools, and whereas the MCAS is significantly limited in its ability to accurately and effectively measure whether students are meeting the Commonwealth's standards and developing the skills they need to thrive after high school, and whereas the most effective measures of whether students are meeting our strong statewide standards and developing the skills they need to succeed in college, the workforce, and beyond are educator-led assessments such as projects, papers, tests, and group activities that are conducted throughout the school year, and whereas the punitive use of MCAS as a high school graduation requirement has restricted curriculum and shifted the focus of education in our public schools toward meeting a test score instead of fostering an environment of creativity, critical thinking, and real teaching and learning that helps students realize their full potential. And whereas pediatricians, researchers, and school counselors have warned of the severe impact of high-stakes testing like the MCAS graduation requirement on students' mental health and well-being, and whereas standardized test requirements notoriously stack the deck against students of color, ESL students, and those with learning disabilities, and whereas using MCAS testing as a high school graduation requirement has prevented or delayed thousands of students earning a diploma and thereby interrupting or derailing education or career plans with especially harmful impacts on students of color, low-income students, students with disabilities, and students for whom English is their second language. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Lynn School Committee supports passage of question 2 to replace the MCAS graduation requirement and require instead that district certified students have satisfactorily completed coursework demonstrating mastery of the skills and knowledge required by the Commonwealth's strong statewide standards in order to graduate. Dr. Alvarez, you want to speak to this?
So in our research, not only of what the learning loss looks like throughout the entire state, and the recovery process of that learning loss, when the MCAS comes into play, we looked at some of the weighted formulas which we shared at the last meeting in terms of what the criterias are, how it was weighted prior to this year, and how the change took effect. And the concern is the impact on students and their graduation rates and how it reflects inequitably on the students of color, and specifically our students here in Lynn, because we have a disproportionate amount of students that are in the categories that we see the test scores continue, right, to shift. And so we want to make sure that we eliminate the MCAS as not that we don't believe in accountability, but that we eliminate it as a punitive form of accountability.
Send it.
Thank you.
Make a motion.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, yep. Motion?
Yeah, make a motion to support the resolution calling for passage of question 2 to replace the MCAS graduation requirement, whereas we just, all that,
Yep.
you just recited
Yep,
it.
you don't have to read it again. Second. All right,
Second.
motion made, seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, just a quick, obviously, I'm full support of this. Being an educator, I live this. I'm looking at numbers right now. I haven't shaved today. We're doing that stuff today. So it's a lot. It's a lot. And to lift the punitive action off of it would be a big burden off the shoulders of our students and our educators. And we can really focus on just educating the whole child and get away from, teaching to a test, because we do it. As much as we say we don't, we do. We want those scores to be good. And when they're not, as an educator, again, when your name's attached to it, it's not a good feeling. So full support of this, and I do appreciate that the committee has brought this forward. It's really deeply appreciate it. So thank you.
Member Gailey.
I totally concur with you, Mr. Dugan. I recall, I'm trying to remember, Sheila, do you remember the year that it came out, 98?
Yeah, I think it was
The
like
first
98,
class? And I had students that had taken it, and this one poor girl could not pass the math, and she couldn't pass it. And at her senior year, like getting just a slip of attendance, she told me that I'm going to pass this test because it's not going to hold me back. But this has held so many students back, and it's so unfair that we are teaching to a test. We're not teaching to an actual joyful learning, because really learning is joyful when you're learning new things, and it's not because of a test, but because you're learning for the content. I totally totally am glad that we are doing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena?
Yes.
Member Reed, absent. Member Satterwhite, absent. Mayor Nicholson?
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Next item is superintendent's evaluation discussion and ratings review. So I think what we'd like to do is present out the results of the evaluation. So you remember last time we heard from Dr. Alvarez about the evidence, and then everybody submitted, thank you by the way for everyone, submitted their evaluations. Working with Danny from my team, we compiled them, and then I have this cover note here. So we'll share that, take a vote, depending on the will of the committee. That will be the evaluation, and then we will talk about the next evaluation. And Dr. Alvarez has some goals to present, and we can hear that presentation. If we're on the same page, we can adopt those as the goals for the next year. And we will also discuss the indicators to go along with those goals. And then the next evaluation will be based on both these goals and those indicators. So let's start with the evaluation for 2024, and I'll just read the cover note here, so we don't tick through each of the boxes here. Will be put into the record. So while this evaluation is more limited in scope than a typical evaluation, it's clear that Dr. Alvarez is off to a strong start. We will soon be selecting the goals and indicators for the next year, setting us up to complete the first full evaluation cycle for Dr. Alvarez as a new superintendent next year as she completes her first 2 years. On the first goal for effective entry and direction setting, most members rated Dr. Alvarez as having met the goal, with one member rating exceeded and another significant progress. On the second goal for maintaining momentum, her ratings were even stronger, with 3 exceeded, 2 met, and 1 significant progress. And on the third and final goal for new superintendent induction, her ratings were stronger still, with 5 exceeded and 1 met. With every rating at significant progress or above, and the most common rating being exceeded, the committee clearly sees a lot of great momentum and significant potential for excellence. I appreciate the committee for completing this evaluation in a timely and thoughtful manner. So those are the overall results we have compiled here in the format that we had sent earlier. Each member's rating for each of the goals, which we will, wherever we keep these evaluations, will be entered into the evaluation. Any questions? All right, is there a motion to accept the evaluation?
Motion to accept the evaluation.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena?
Yes.
Member Reed, absent. Mayor Nichols?
Yes.
Member Satterwhite, absent. Mayor Nicholson?
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. And so next, we'll ask Dr. Alvarez to propose goals, and then we'll talk about indicators.
So there are 6 goals that are being proposed for the 24-25 school year. The first goal is fostering multilingual learners' literacy proficiency for lifelong success. This empowers multilingual learners to achieve K-12 literacy and proficiency, equipping them with language skills and knowledge needed to actively engage in daily life and succeed in diverse educational and life pursuits. Below that is the measure of success, which would be based on the district strategic plan priority number 1. For goal 2, there's promote inclusion and support equitable practices for students with disabilities and individual education plan compliance. This would reduce disparities in IEP language and document support parental involvement for students with disabilities by implementing inclusive and supportive strategies. The measure of success is stated, which we want to keep district momentum at least 85% or higher. The baseline data from 22-23 is 67%. In 23-24, we completed the end of the year was compliance rate of 93%. So, but we want to make sure that we always keep 85% or higher. That is the goal. And that is based on District Strategic Plan Priority 4. Goal 3, build inclusive communities, foster belonging for educators and students, which foster a strong sense of belonging and inclusivity among educators and students, creating a supportive and welcoming educational environment. We want to continue to look at the student survey that was administered as a district baseline. It was a climate survey administered to grades 3 to 12, and that's based on District Strategic Priority 4. And as well as reduce chronic absenteeism for all students from 31% to 26.9%. That's based on District Strategic Plan Priority 4 as well. Goal 4 is to integrate mathematics and literacy skills for global engagement and success. That's to equip all students with the interdisciplinary skills to excel as informed and responsible communicators and problem solvers in a global society, nurturing their success through the integration of mathematics with literacy. The measures of success are student growth for grade 10, as well as student growth, and the increases are there for numeric purposes for grades 3 through 8 in math as well, and these are both based on District Strategic Plan Priority 1. Goal 5 is to advance equitable access to advanced coursework, and that would ensure that all students, regardless of their background, have equitable access to advanced coursework opportunities, fostering their academic excellence and preparing them for college and career readiness. There are measures of success here based on District's Strategic Plan Priority 3, but specifically with a focus on PSAT administration, advanced placement coursework, and dual enrollment and early college coursework. And the last goal is to implement the district's turnaround strategy, create the conditions for schools to improve student achievement, demonstrating strong instructional and operational leadership, implement a data-driven decision-making process for district systems, promote the portrait of an LPS graduate by developing a culture of high expectations for students and staff, lead teacher cabinets and empower educators to lead and support turnaround strategies, increase community involvement and partnerships to contribute to the district's turnaround process, provide resource allocation through school-based budgeting, provide social, emotional, and health supports for all students, and lead school design and innovation. And so those would be evidenced by policies and administrative procedures that support each of those structures and goals within the DESE framework. So those are the 6 proposed goals this evening. The last page just has, it's just descriptions of like a glossary for purposes of understanding.
Any questions on the goals? Never got some.
Just more of a comment. So I appreciate the way you're measuring, the way it's very clear, it's concrete, it's easy to read. I think some of for goal 6, there's a lot of bullet points. It's a lot. Do you feel like goal 6 could be split into is that for me, could it be expanded into like a goal? I don't want to say like a goal 7, but like, was it too much to just let go? If that makes sense, like.
Yes, it makes sense. I think it would be, this is an extension of what we did this year.
Yeah.
Leading into, unfortunately, what happened with the rankings, right? All of these bullets are what was really documented in the template for the evaluation that you looked at.
Okay.
And these are just extensions, really taking it to a deeper level in terms of examining policy structures that we currently have or in the absence of some of those structures that need to be in place for student and teacher success.
Great, thank you.
That's good.
Any other questions? why don't we vote on the goals and then we'll do the indicators? All right. So, what's the will of the committee?
So motion to accept the superintendent goals for 24-25.
Great.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena?
Yes.
Member Reed? Absent. Member Satterwhite? Absent. Mayor Nicholson?
Yes. Great. Now the indicators. There are a total of a couple dozen indicators. They're not numbered here.
I wish I had the hard copy in front of me.
The hard copy's right here. The DESE evaluation recommended process asks us to select 6 to 8.
Yep.
And says that the recommendation is that there be at least one in each of the standards. So you recall there's 4 standards, and then each standard has 4 to 7 indicators. They're lettered and not numbered, so it's approximate. So we're looking to select 6 of those. We asked for some submissions, and why don't I walk through 6 that were put forward, and we can see if anyone wants to suggest any changes, and hopefully come to a consensus about what we want
Was
to
it
do.
6 put forward on who? From who?
Member Dugan sent
Okay.
4, and then I suggested 2 to add, just so we could get to 6.
Yeah. Okay.
But, we're looking to try to establish a consensus here. So, under Standard 1, curriculum, under Standard 1, instructional leadership, the indicators are A, curriculum, B, instruction, C, assessment, D, evaluation, E, data-informed decision-making, and F, student learning. And Member Dugan had put forward A, and then I suggested B, instruction. So curriculum and then instruction under instructional leadership. Under Standard 2, management and operations, there's environment, human resources management and development, scheduling and management information systems, law, ethics, and policies, fiscal systems. And Member Dugan had put forward environment, and then I suggested adding HR, management and development as well. And then under family, community, and engagement, there's engagement, sharing responsibility, communication, family concerns. And Member Dugan had suggested family concerns.
Yes.
Yes. And then under professional culture, there's commitment to high standards, cultural proficiency, communications indicator, continuous learning, shared vision, and managing conflict. And Member Dugan had suggested communications. So that would be 6. I certainly am flexible. We could add a couple others as well, but that would get us at least one in each of the standards. Other thoughts? Member Castellanos.
I'm not sure. Did you mention environment under management and operations?
Yes.
And okay, I just want to. I do support
Yes.
that.
Yes. So let me just recap it.
Can you, recap what we're.
Standard 1 is instructional, and the indicators would be curriculum and instruction.
Yep.
Standard 2 is management and operations, and the indicators would be environment and human resources management and development.
Okay.
Standard 3 is family and community engagement, and the indicator would be family concerns. And then Standard 4 is professional culture, and the indicator would be communications. My experience in doing these evaluations is that there is some overlap among the indicators, and so when it comes time to do the evaluation, we're going to have really a chance to evaluate the full scope of the work, and I think I have no doubt that the superintendent will be submitting evidence that will run the gamut. And so I wouldn't be too concerned about picking exactly the right indicators. And that's I think that's probably part of the rationale of having one in each standard is because, by doing that, we're going to cover a lot. So. Any other questions? Is there a motion?
So motion to accept the proposed indicators.
Dr. Alves, do you want to comment at all on that?
Yeah, I think those are more than appropriate, and I'm certain there'll be more
Right.
evidence than just on these specific indicators.
Right. And as always, as superintendent, you're responsible for it all,
Yeah,
and so,
so-
and that's part of it. And that's the challenge and the reality. So, great. Roll call, please.
Member Castellanos?
Yes.
Member Dugan?
Yes.
Member Gately?
Yes.
Member Pena?
Yes.
Member Reed, absent. Member Satterwhite, absent. Mayor Nicholson?
Yes. Before we move on, I want to read into the record the full evaluation here, just so to make it official. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna read the goals and then people's ratings that we approved. Goal 1: effective entry and direction setting for superintendent. By early spring, the district will have broad agreement from key stakeholder groups about A, the district's most critical needs, B, the strategies and goals that will address them most effectively, and C, the measures that will be used to assess progress. Exceeded was rated by Member Gately. Met was rated by Member Castellanos, Member Dugan, Member Pena, and myself. And significant progress was rated by Member Reed. District improvement goal number 2, maintaining momentum during the transition for district improvement. Keep the district moving forward during this year's transition and leadership by working with principals and other district leaders to ensure that meaningful progress is made on critical district and school goals. Exceeded was selected by Member Gately, Member Pena, and myself. Met was selected by Member Dugan and Member Reed, and significant progress was selected by Member Castellanos. District improvement goal number 3, professional practice, new superintendent induction program. New superintendent induction program develop skills in strategy development, data analysis, and instructional leadership by actively engaging in the first year of the new superintendent induction program. Exceeded was selected by Member Castellanos, Member Gately, Member Pena, Member Reed, and myself, and Met was selected by Member Dugan. And those are the accurate ratings that you all submitted, correct? We compiled that correctly? Just want to make sure. Okay, good. Great work. Okay, thank you. All right, next item is communications and information.
So we have one update on the Magnet Schools Assistance Program grant. The district received notification that we were not selected for the grant award this year. And I just want to touch upon, we had a call with the Department of Education to specifically discuss, it was this morning, to discuss some of the feedback that was given by the reviewers. It really touches upon developing and strengthening our multi-tiered systems of support across the district, and having the policy and documentation that really supports that in the adaptive work, and how we can prove that if we were to resubmit an application. It also, the part of the feedback was to have a policy on lottery procedures in the event that the student requests and applications exceed the number of seats that are available. And there were 2 additional comments. One was about the evaluation of the methodology. There's always a requirement to have external researchers, but we also have a fairly new data department. So there was somewhat a lack of connection between the evaluation process and the proposed methodology, the pedagogy that teachers would be, which was project-based learning. So we have started the professional development for project-based learning, but we've only done that recently, right? We started in the spring. So the last one was regarding the control group and design for our students, because we had the 2 traditional high schools in the application and the STEAM Academy, which would, eventually go online. But having the 2 traditional high schools doesn't leave any students for an accurate control group, meaning the students that are receiving the treatment being in the magnet program and the students not receiving in the treatment, right? That would fit the similar profile of student, which is not FDCA, which is not Lynn Tech, because both of those have their own application criteria. And so that certainly poses some challenges for us in terms of having both of the high schools at the same time, because we don't have a comparison group of our own. And it's difficult to have controls outside, or some districts have done virtual controls. And there are evaluators that do that, but it is a very difficult process to do, right? So that was some of the feedback. We are grateful to all of the stakeholders, teachers, parents, students that provided us with, a lot of the information that we needed to really look at the pathways that we want to implement, and we will continue to work with that information to see what pathways are certainly viable in our high schools, with or without the grant. And we intend to go back and apply. We will wait a little bit. We're not sure if we're going to do it next spring, but we will bring it up if we feel that all of these other structures, right, are in place and solid enough for us to be able to launch. There was some concern about the sustainability of us having a grant of that magnitude and the accountability of it when we don't have some of these basic structures in place. So we're working on this. We have been working on them. And I'm confident that in the next year or 2, we'll be able to resubmit with a very solid application. So we look at it as positive feedback in terms of, it was a review for us. We're able to now look at that feedback and strengthen our internal process to make sure that we can go back and resubmit at some point. So that's the update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the last communication is the financial quarterly report. Mr. McHugh?
Yes, in front of you have the first quarterly report for the school year. It's very early, as always. We only have like 3 payrolls in so far, but the salaries are in line. The only thing that I'm watching, as I've noted it out in the document, is our out-of-district tuition cost. Right now, I'm projecting a $100,000 deficit, but I'm not overly concerned today about that because things change. It's so early in the school year. Children come, children leave. They move from one setting to another. So, I'm just that'll be something we'll be watching throughout the school year. And the reason for that is we have the same number of students, roughly about the same. Actually, there's a few less, but the residential costs have escalated in the placement of our students in those residentials. I mean, we have students that are getting over $500,000 for a residential placement right now, which is driving the cost up. It's actually, you can see in the thing, it's over $1 million up from last year projected, which is a little high, but those things we don't always have control over, but we will be watching it, and hopefully, the ebbs and flows of students in and out, that we can get this back down within the budget number. And if not, later, as we get later in the year, if we have to make adjustments, I'd bring those forward to you to make those adjustments. If there's any questions, I can answer them.
Yeah, Member Castellanos.
I think my question is just around the system. This is the new system that you've been using?
No, this is still Munis right now.
Oh, still Munis, okay.
Yeah, we're in the process right now, as we explained before, we're in the process of building out the new system. It's pulling now all the information from Munis. They did their first poll last week, and it didn't quite 100% match up, so we're working with them to figure out what's off, because we need to get that accurate first before we can go forward with it. And the training for our staff will be coming up early in December for all our staff. And at that point, we'll be rolling it out and going forward with it so that you can use it towards the budget process for the next fiscal budget coming up next year.
Any other questions? All right. Seeing no further business.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done with it, and I just want you to know that Coco gives us support to this.
All right, yes, I myself spoke with Councilor Allenson, and he did mention to me as well that he is in favor. We spoke about this because the fire station is in close proximity to my ward, so. You motioned to approve, right?
Yes, I did.
Did we get a second?
Yes.
Yes? Roll call?
Councilor Chakutis absent, Councilor LaPierre absent, Councilor Net.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Matul.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen absent, Councilor Field.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, and we have one more under other business. Madam Clerk, please.
That was read as a second one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We changed it.
Sorry about that.
Yep, that's
Council
fine.
Field, you still have
Motion
some?
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? Do we have a second? I'll second that.
A lot of work.
Look at this.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Ways and Means Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, I call the meeting to order. Please roll call.
Councilor Net.
Present.
Present, Councilor Hogan.
Present.
Present, Councilor Chakutis absent, Councilor Walsh.
Present.
Present, Councilor Field.
Present.
Present.
Could you please read transfers?
We have $7,353.87 to the fire department for a prior year bill.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Net.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hogan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Chakutis absent, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Field.
Yes.
We have $975 to the fire department for a prior year bill.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Net.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hogan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Chakutis absent, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Field.
Yes.
$4,255.76 to the police department for the prior year bill.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Net.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hogan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Chakutis absent, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Field.
Yes.
$55 to the personnel department for a prior year bill.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Net.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hogan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Chakutis absent, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Field.
Yes.
Certified funds, please.
$14,373.12 to the fire department for the FY25 Marine Oil Spill Prevention and Response Act grant.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Net.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hogan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Chakutis absent, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Field.
Yes.
$98,599 for the Transportation Bond Bill, Chapter 90, FY24 Rural Roadway Funding for FY25.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilor Net.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hogan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Chakutis absent, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Field.
Yes.
Yes. $397,875 to the school department for the FC 412 FY25 Career and Technical Education Grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis absent. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. 56,000 to the school department for the FC 589 FY25 Civics Teaching and Learning Grant.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis absent. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Orders, please.
We have ordered that His Honor the Mayor is hereby authorized to enter into a 5-year service agreement with Next Gen Communications, Inc., Comtech, for the operations and maintenance of the 9/11 system.
Motion approved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis? Absent. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. And the final order is ordered that the city clerk be directed to cause notice to be advertised that meetings of the qualified voters of the city of Lynn will be held in the several polling places designated for the presidential final election on November 5th, 2024. Sample ballots for all wards and precincts will be available on the city website and in the election office for public viewing. Per the state election office, the warrant will be advertised in both English and Spanish in its entirety, including all questions that will be on the November ballot. The ward and precinct locations are Ward 11, Shoemaker School, 1, 2, 3, and 4, Sisson School, Ward 2, all precincts, St. Pius Lower Church Hall, Ward 3, all, Marshall Middle School, Ward 4, all, Harrington School, Ward 5, all, Lynn Tech Annex, Ward 6, all, Lynn Tech Fieldhouse, and Ward 7, all, Bree Junior High. Early voting will also be held in City Hall for 2 weeks prior to the election, beginning on Saturday, October 19th through Friday, November 1st. Weekend hours are 8 to 2 p.m., and weekly times will be during regular business hours at City Hall.
What's your wish committee?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis absent. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, and Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Motion to adjourn.
any emergency, Mr. Spencer?
I was notified of next council meeting is October 15th, so if we could, because these are bills of prior year, if we could have these done.
Motion for emergency.
For emergency, okay. All right, roll call for all emergency, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Chakutis absent. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes, Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so any new business? No?
No new business.
What's the wish committee?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor, adjourn?
Adjourn.
Meeting adjourned, thank you.
I'd like to call the Tuesday, September 24th council meeting to order. Roll call.
Counselor Allensung, absent. Counselor Chakutis, absent. Counselor Field?
Present.
Present. Counselor Hogan?
Present.
Present. Counselor LaPierre?
Present.
Present. Counselor Matul?
Present.
Present. Counselor McLean?
Present.
Present. Counselor Meany?
Present.
Present. Counselor Meji Madre?
Present.
Present. Counselor Net?
Present.
Present. Counselor Walsh?
Present. And before we do a moment of silence, Counselor Jakutis is home. She has a big test tomorrow. She's studying tonight for it. So we wish her well on the big test tomorrow. And as we know, Counselor Allensung is in the Philippines and taking care of his dad who's not well. Could we all rise for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance?
Can we remember the city of Melrose and the passing of their mayor, Neil Perry? What did I say, Melrose? I apologize. Methuen, city of Methuen. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic which stands
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Accept the minutes from the September 10th meeting.
Motion to accept.
Do a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Accept the minutes. Communications.
We have no communications.
Public hearings.
We have no public hearings.
Rolling right along. Public hearings to be set down.
We have the petition of National Grid to install conduit from a handhole 1-1 to 1-2 on public property to provide underground services at 49 Grandview Ave.
The wish of the council?
Motion to set it down.
Second. Down. All in favor?
Aye.
Set them down. All right. Committees, licensing, Councilor Field.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a unanimous vote by our committee. I make a motion to approve.
Unanimous vote Motion approved. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, good. Licensing. Public property.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilmember
Chairman. We
Toole.
had a unanimous vote on our committee. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're good. Ways and Means, Councilor Net.
Yes, Mr. President, all unanimous vote of the committee, I make a motion to approve.
Would the clerk read the transfers?
You have $7,353.87 to the fire department for the prior year bill, $975 to the fire department for prior year bill, $4,255.76 to the police department for the prior year bill, and $55 to the personnel department for a prior year bill. Certified funds, $14,373.12 to the fire department for the FY25 Marine Oil Spill Prevention and Response Act grant, $98,599 for the Transportation Bond Bill, Chapter 90, FY24 Rural Roadway Funding for FY25, $397,875 to the School Department for the FC 412 FY25 Career and Technical Education Grant, $56,000 to the School Department for the FC 589 FY25 Civics Learning and Teaching Grant. We have ordered that His Honor the Mayor is hereby authorized to enter into a 5-year service agreement with Next Gen Communications, Inc., Comtech, for the operations and maintenance of the 911 system. Ordered that the city clerk be directed to cause notice to be advertised that the meetings of the qualified voters of the city of Lynn will be held in several polling places designated for the presidential final election on November 5th, 2024. Sample ballots